Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers with another edition of the Awesome Health Podcast. And today we have the Toxic Terminator on here, none other than Aimee Carlson. She is the host of the Toxin Terminator podcast, a best-selling author and featured guest expert on numerous podcasts and summits. She spent the last 7 years removing hidden toxins from her own home to be free of chronic disease and to help hundreds do the same. Through her podcast, she has access to some of the top doctors, healers, experts, and industry leaders in the natural health and wellness industry. And a little bit of background about Aimee, because I was on her podcast. I said, hey, why don't you come on mine? I think this is a really great thing because learning about the toxins in your home is a huge, huge thing. You do not know that your home may be totally toxic and really ruining your life in ways you can't imagine. But her passion is to give hope to those people who are suffering, getting no relief from traditional medicine, and those people who are ready to take control by detoxing and cleansing their health and their environment. You know, Aimee has struggled in her adult life with chronic illness, severe migraines, headaches, a bunch of reproductive issues, and a hysterectomy at the age of 38. We'll get into some of that sort of stuff and some really bizarre symptoms along the way. You might be listening to this say, my doctor doesn't know what's going on. Well, bottom line is because Aimee had worked over 30 years in the automotive industry, she was exposed to an extraordinary amount of toxins. But not only that, the lifestyles as a franchise owner operator was extremely toxic. And her whole home was a big role in this. And so now she realized that her home was playing a big role in how her body was responding. So she's taken the time to join us today, even though she's in the middle of a move. Aimee, welcome to the show.
Wade, I'm so happy to be here. I just absolutely love your energy. It's like, woo, woo, let's go. let's detoxify.
Well, a lot of people don't know that, and funny enough, we have an elite VIP coaching program at Bioptimizers, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it probably will move to the forefront not long after this podcast airs. It's been kind of on the D-low. Okay. And one of our experts, consultants in our intake forms really goes into this whole aspect of what's going on in your home. What kind of shampoos are you wearing? What kind of cleaners are you wearing? What kind of insulation is in the walls? All these kind of things. And people are oftentimes reading like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So let's ask that question.
Right.
How do you have a toxic home and how do you become a toxic terminator? I want to know, what's the backstory? How did you say, look out, toxins, you come to Terminator?
I'll be back. So, no one's asking that question. Let's at least be honest, right? It's a very few select people that are asking that question. What I knew is that I had lots of issues going on with my health. And in fact, I really kind of believed that, well, this is as good as it gets. I was settling for average. I was settling for, I believe the myth. I'm getting older, therefore I'm going to have this going on with my body. What I didn't understand is what it really felt like to feel good. My entire adult life did not feel good. And what a sad state that is. And I think there's so many people out there that are like that. And when I got learning about natural health, not talking going to the doctor and putting a Band-Aid on it, right? Doctors are good for emergencies. I'm not knocking them, but they're not good for really getting to the root of what's causing your issues. All they want to do is treat the symptom. And we really want to get to why are we having the symptom in the first place? That's my passion. And so if you really want to get there, then you got to start looking at all different aspects of your life. And so many people, when they think about being healthy, they think about what they eat and they think about how you move, right? Wade, you're real good with that one, right? And no one's talking about, I don't know, are you using plastic to store your food in? Are you drinking out of plastic water bottles? There's a whole host, and we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. But
what kind of mattress you're sleeping on?
Come on, you're
8
spending
hours of your days. Yeah, 1/3 of your life or whatever.
1/3 of your life
9
is
hours.
spent on your mattress. What are you exposing yourself to? Now, there's a whole host when we get into materials that our furniture is made out of. We can even talk about carpeting. That's about the grossest thing you can even have inside your home is carpeting. But I really want to talk about the everyday stuff, because that's going to have a huge impact on your overall health too. What are you doing laundry with? What are you cleaning your house with? What are you treating your body with? Meaning shampoo, makeup, conditioner, lotions, all those kinds of things. And what are you feeding your mind with? Because if we don't take care of this, all the rest of the stuff that we do isn't going to make a hell of beans of difference.
Well, let's go back to your backstory. I think it's important because, people might not have heard of you on our podcast, and they're like, what was going on for you that led you to this discovery about toxins in your environment? I think that's because that you have to realize that's a big jump for most people to think that their home is toxic.
Right.
Might think the people there are toxic. That you're familiar with that one, but we're talking about the environment itself, which could be impacting your partner or your kids or your mother or father who's living in the guest suite or whatever. Who knows?
Right. Exactly. Well, so let me start by saying this. I was right there, like who you just described. Toxins in my home? Are you kidding me? I worked in the automotive industry. I'm a certified mechanic. That's what I did for 30 years. I owned 5 shops, had lots of employees. I was very familiar with hazardous waste. I was really familiar with toxins within that workplace. And I was in an extremely highly regulated industry. When the automotive industry, very regulated. So how in the world would I even believe that the products I could buy on the store shelves were not safe? Isn't that regulated just like my industry is? Gosh, no, that's the big answer. And I could use other words here, but I was so mad when I found out. And it was really quite by accident. So you said I suffered from migraines and headaches every single day. In fact, I had lost the vision on my left side. From the migraine headaches. I had reproductive issues. Ladies, I know you can relate to me. Heavy periods, cramping, these are not normal. If somebody's telling you it is, it's not. I was treated with all kinds of medications trying to help that. And finally, they said, you know what, we're out of options. We're just going to give you a hysterectomy because that's the only solution that we have. So at the age of 38, here I am with no uterus, and I was already diagnosed in menopause at the age of 36. So it wasn't like a big stretch to jump into full blown, menopause. But so I had all this stuff going on. Now, for those listening, and Wade, if you might know this answer too, the average age for a woman to go into menopause is 51. So the fact that I was diagnosed at the age of 36 is pretty extreme, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I had this friend. Now, mind you, remember, I'm in the automotive industry. I know what toxins are, right? I got to have MSDS sheets. I've got to have personal protective equipment. This is what we've got to do to protect ourselves. I know that. But the stuff in my home, gosh, no, that's not a reality. And I had this friend that kept inviting me to an oils class. I got some oils going right here. For a year, I said, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. I don't want anything to do with any of that. That's, I'm seeing specialists, and if they can't fix me, what are your little bottles going to do for me? So for a year, I kept saying no, and I finally went. And it was all quite by accident that I got into doing what I do. And I went to this class. I actually thought they stunk. I was like, who would want to put this on their body? It's crazy. But I listened to the presentation and I said, I have horrible menopause symptoms. Do you have anything that might help with that? And so she gave me something to try. And Wade, for the first time in my entire adult life, I slept through the night. First time. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I want to learn more. and sign me up. So that really, I consider oils my gateway drug into natural living.
That's
and my
great.
gateway drug into,
And I'm a big proponent of essential oils. They've been used for thousands of years in healing modalities throughout history. I mean, whether you're going to the Jesus story of gold, frankincense, and myrrh in liquid forms, whether you're looking at the Egyptian practices, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, the great traditions of the world have always used these. And somehow in our Western world, suddenly this got poo-pooed, and we get to these kind of chemical hybrids and sold as things. And I love essential oils. I use them every single day in my life for a variety of things. And almost all of my friends use essential oils for a variety of things. And they're great. And they are a gateway. You start to see, wait a second, if these quote unquote chemicals, and I would put them in the healthy oil category, if they have a positive effect on me, well, that means it's possible that there could be other things that have a negative effect. And then you open up that door and it's like, holy doodle.
And honestly, that's what it was. It was like, wait a minute. So what, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what inside my home is causing me issues? So did you know that let me just ask you this question. What do you think inside your home is the biggest endocrine disrupting product you use?
Oh, well, you'd have to be referring to my home versus somebody else's home.
Okay, average home, the average person's home.
Geez, I don't know what I would list it as. I mean, obviously, some of the cleaners that people use are pretty darn bad.
It actually is. I mean, we're in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, right? So I have been teaching and talking all about personal care products, parabens, xenoestrogens. We've been having all of these conversations. Honestly, it's what we clean with that has the biggest impact on our hormones. Not only our hormones and our endocrine system, but it also contains so much fragrance. If you're having any kind of neuro symptoms whatsoever, you gotta start looking at what products are inside your home that have fragrance in them, because that's creating issues. When I changed out what I was cleaning my home with and what I did laundry with, I stopped having headaches and migraines. Haven't had them in 7 years.
I think a lot of people don't know, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here for some people that are gonna freak out, but there are very popular brands of aerosol spray cans that are used to freshen the scent of your home, which contain mustard gas, which causes nerve damage to the body. And then what it does is it doesn't actually make a new scent. It actually makes it so you can't smell the bad ones.
It's the same thing. Now, I know exactly what you're talking about. And let's add insult to injury. They're now saying they're infused with essential oils. Are you kidding?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they put like vitamin D in white bread and called it enriched.
What?
Strip everything out of it, put a bunch of chemicals in it, put some vitamin D, it's enriched. Same thing.
Now we're gonna call it healthy. We're going to Aspercream. I was just watching, I was just watching a commercial on TV. I don't watch much TV, but when my husband's around, he does, and I heard it. Aspercream is infused with lavender essential oil. Aspercream.
Yeah.
No. If you don't want to just put a Band-Aid on something, then why would you use something that's going to mask odor in your home and not get to the bottom root of it? Let's figure out what's going on that's causing the smell in the house, first of all, right? Sometimes it's just what we're cooking with, and we want something to pick up that air. Run a diffuser like I've got going back here. Not only do you have a pleasant scent, which a lot of people just want a scent, right? But just actually doing something for your body.
So let's talk about, so you started down this, so you went down this path, right? We get into this as juicy stuff. But you go and you find these essential oils and you're like, wow, I feel better. I slept through the night. Then what happened? So then how did this journey unfold for you?
Oh my gosh. I was absolutely blessed. I mean, I believe God's hand is in everything in my life. And it was then as well, because I got into where I came into essential oils. There was a huge group, like a lot of big leaders within the company in the town that I lived in. So my educational opportunities were sky high. And so I could learn all I wanted to learn about what else is in my home. What is it about these plant-based products that are better for me and my family and my body? And so I immersed myself for about 2 years. I went to classes. I took all kinds of certifications. I learned how to do raindrop techniques and emotional release and got certified in all of that. And because emotions, I mean, we'll get all down there. But so I was truly blessed to where I was. A lot of people get exposed to essential oils by buying them in a corner store or even a health food store, and they don't get that education to know exactly what they've got in their hands and what it can actually do for them. So I would say, do some time and research to find out, the power of what you actually have in your hands. And not all essential oils are created equal too.
And a lot of people don't recognize is that scent is the oldest sensory component inside the body, which is deeply associated with memory.
Yes.
And so, for example, when you maybe go by fresh cut grass, you might think of camp when you were 12 years old and you're back there, or fresh baked bread. And I remind myself of my mother taking those rolls out when I was a kid coming home from school. Or it can be a negative association. Yeah. It could be, you can be walking by in a casino and someone walks by with a certain sense of perfume that reminded me of that guy that you wish you never dated before, or the guy or girl that, whatever it happens to be. I guess I have to make everything gender neutral now. The person that you dated back in the day. So you know what I mean? But this associative component and with associations of memory and scent and these things, this has real physiological activations or deactivations in our nervous system.
Absolutely. It's going to the limbic part of our brain, which passes a lot of different things that we have to have. And so it's going to set into play all the emotions, memories, are all going to get triggered, and then it keeps on going and it sets all the neurons, into play and into action within our body. So, this is beautiful that we can smell something and we can elicit an emotional response off of it. Now, if you start learning about emotions and what's physically going on with your body, we know that emotions are held within our body, within the different organs in the body, within different parts of the body, and they're associated with different things that are happening to the body. So when we can smell something, elicit that emotion, we can actually relieve some of the physical symptoms that we have going on in our body. Really powerful stuff.
So you got into this whole journey and then you kept going. So then how did you go from, hey, I attended a meeting and found some scent that made me sleep better, to the Toxic Terminator?
Here's the thing. I started like vomiting on everybody I knew. Is what I did. Those people, and I fire hosed on everybody. So it's like, and before I knew it, I had this team of several hundred people underneath me. And I'm like, okay, I better learn what the heck I'm doing. I mean, I've been successful just by talking and saying, hey, this has been my story. This is what's been happening to me. I need to learn a little bit more about these things. And then this is what became the Toxin Terminator. Is I had a friend of mine invite me to learn about podcasting. Now, mind you, I think everything I do is in the realm of why not? Let's go check it out. I had never even listened to a podcast when I went to this course and learning how to do a podcast. And I thought, My ultimate goal here is to help, my person that I mostly talk to is me, right? A woman over 50, going through menopause, kind of in your second half of life. Where is it that you envision, life taking you? What do you want 80 to look like for yourself? It's time to start paying attention to what our body's saying. And I could go around and I could talk to people in the real, just person by person, or I could have a podcast and affect a massive amount of people. And so that's where I came up with the Toxin Terminator. It's like, let's get a podcast because there's a lot of people out there talking about all different aspects, right?
So let's talk about, I'd like to dive into what are maybe the top 5 or 10 things that people might find toxic in their home that they need to start looking. If they feel that there's something going on in their house, it's not making them feel good, or these things, what are the top 5 or 10 things that you can think of offhand?
So when I wrote my book, The Toxin Terminator, I came up with
Can you hold that up a little bit? That was a little too fast. That's I love it. That's a great cover. Cool.
So
we'll put a link to that in the show notes for people who want to listen to it or read it.
Absolutely. I came up with the 5 pillars of living a toxin-free lifestyle. So,
okay, perfect. This is the stuff.
Yep. We're going to do one in each pillar. Does that sound like a deal?
Yep.
Okay. So pillar number 1 is air. We've already talked about it. It's fragrance. What are we going to be breathing in? The biggest one is fragrance. So here's my tip on fragrance. First of all, we want our products to be fragrance free. So unscented is still got all the fragrance in it. And then we're adding more chemicals to cover up the scent of the fragrance. So unscented is no good. We want fragrance free. Mm-hmm. That's my tip there. Okay. Then we go to water. So water, we know, has a ton of chemicals in it, of toxins. The list goes on and on. So water, here's my big tip for water. We all know to drink clean water, right? But I say what you shower in is way more important than what you're drinking. And most people get it the other way around. If you cannot do a whole house filtration system, which is my highest choice for you, is to do a whole house filtration, then you need to get a filter on your shower head, because you're taking a shower for, let's call it 10 minutes. Most people on average are 10 minutes for a shower. Depending on what chemical your skin is coming into contact with, and the condition of your skin, it's anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes for it to be absorbed into the body, where it can be actually detected in the blood and in the organs and soft tissue of your body. Mm-hmm. So it's important, what we're doing in our shower. So that's my tip with water, is filter your shower head. Okay.
Yep.
Number 3 is, we go air, water, food. So here, a lot of people are talking about organic and pesticides and stuff like that. So that's a big topic out there. But this is what I want to talk to you about: food. I want you to turn that label around. I don't want you to look at what we want to look at, fat content and all that, but I want you to look and see how many ingredients are listed. All right. My rule of thumb, well, not anymore because I don't buy anything in a package, rarely, is if 5 ingredients or less. When we're 5 ingredients or less, we're going to be avoiding all the preservatives, the food colorings, the food flavorings, all that kind of stuff. So 5 ingredients or less is my tip in food. Okay. Okay. So air, water, food, absorption. So I can't do just one in absorption. I wish I could, get it down to just one, but I can't. So parabens, phthalates, sulfates, and we've already talked about fragrance, but it's in what you absorb into your skin as well. So those are my top 4: parabens, phthalates, sulfates, and fragrance. You want to look for products that do not have any of those products in them. Now here, you can get an app. It's free to download on your phone. Have you heard of Think Dirty?
The what?
Think Dirty.
Think Dirty.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been thinking that way a long time. No.
Okay, come on now.
No, I haven't heard that app. No,
Okay.
I have not heard of that app. That's really cool.
All right, so it's right here. Whoops. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull it back up here. Okay, I just want you to see the thumbnail. It's a black.
Yep, I saw it.
Black screen.
We're gonna put a link. We're gonna put a link to it, so it's okay.
When you load it, now here's the thing. This app was phenomenal for me because what I can do is I can scan my personal care products or type them in, either or, and it's going to give a rating from 0 to 10 on how safe that product is. My rule of thumb is 3 or under to be allowed into my home. Okay. Not only do I get that safety rating, but it tells me what ingredients are in there and what that safety rating is per that ingredient. So you will start to learn, and I want you to learn. I don't want you to just listen to what I'm saying. I want you to learn about this so that you can make better choices for yourself. And that's what I really, really like this app, is because you'll start learning and you'll know, ooh, don't want that ingredient. 1,4-dioxane is another one that we wanted to avoid. So you'll start learning the ingredients to avoid in your personal care products. Okay.
Love it. Think dirty.
Think dirty. Get the app. Not the bad, not the naughty way.
No, get the app. No, I think I'm going to download it as soon as this podcast is over. I think that's a really valuable tool for people to have because it just does the work for you. You can just scan.
It does.
And you could scan this even at the grocery store, right? You could go into
I do it all the time.
Yep. Yeah. So you know what's right for you. It's like having an expert right there to say no or yes.
Right.
I love it.
That's amazing. I did that at first in the beginning. Now I know,
Right. You can look at things and say,
yeah.
The Bioptimizer mission is to help more of the world fix their digestion at a core level. The truth is, your digestion is only as good as your enzyme levels. Imagine trying to build a house with a tree. It's impossible. You need to chop the tree down into small pieces. Similarly, in order for your food to be used by your body, it must be broken down into a bioavailable form. And that's what enzymes do, converting protein into amino acids, fats into specific fatty acids, and carbohydrates into usable energy units. We start out with an abundance of enzymes, and that's why kids can digest just about anything really quickly. The thing is cooking food kills enzymes as they cannot survive at temperatures above 118 degrees. So years of this ends up depleting our bodies and leads to weak digestion. Taking digestive enzymes like masszymes, which has an incredibly high level of protease for digesting protein, as well as other critical enzymes like lipase, amylase, and others, is a total game changer. Suddenly, you strengthen your digestion, eliminate gas and bloating, boost metabolism, and multiply your energy. Most importantly, you fix your digestion at a core level. To get started with masszymes and to save 10% on your first order, go to masszymes.com. That's masszymes.com and use the code MASS10, MASS10.
In the beginning, I had no idea what the heck I was buying. And now let's talk about greenwashing while we're here. Have you heard the term greenwashing?
I want you to describe it for our listeners. Greenwashing.
So greenwashing is using terms like free and clear, natural. Companies use marketing terms to make you feel like you've got a safe product in your hands. That's called greenwashing. We're going to market you and make you believe that things are safe and you can use them with confidence, right? Put a picture of a baby on it, those type of things so that we
leaves and flowers and unicorns running, sailing like over rainbows and stuff like
unicorns, all the stuff. And even hypoallergenic is no good anymore. Plant-based is even becoming not good anymore because a lot of companies are touting things to be plant-based. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean, a lot of what we want. So using apps is a great place to start so that you can know with confidence the products that you're bringing into your home are safe for you and your family. And those three little pets.
That should be a political slogan, greenwashing. I mean, like, there's all these slogans in businesses and politics and in our education system and everything that sound great.
Yeah.
But when you look under the hood or kick the tires, you're like, it's like a car that's got a great body job on it, and you pull it up and you go, wow, that's a beautiful car. And then you open up the hood or you look down the side of it, it's all wavy, and you get underneath it and there's just like, oh my God, it's a disaster. It's going to cost you $1 million to fix, but it looks good.
It's mostly under the car when we see all the sins of a car. I know that, and we call those lemons, there's a name for it, POSs, lemons, whatever you want to call it. But we see that all the time, but you got to know what you're looking for. Right.
And these would be, in this case, it'd be the lemon scented chemicals.
Scented, right? You don't want the scent. Pine. Think those things that say they're pine scented. Anyway.
Yes, pine scented. Yes.
Yeah. So
this isn't made from trees, folks.
Well, what kind of tree is it? Anyway, and then the last pillar is emotional. Now this one becomes a little trickier, right? We want to think about, I like to break the emotional pillar into two parts, external and internal. All right. So here's one thing is stress. I don't know anybody that gets through this life with no stress. And I believe that, it's just there. We live in a fallen world. It's just there. We've got to figure out how to coincide with stress. We have to figure out what to do with our bodies. So that's considered one of the external toxins is stress, because if you're not doing things, journaling, exercising, doing things for self-care, then we're certainly not going to be living side by side with stress.
There's people who get stressed because they're not doing those things to reduce their stress. That's the kind of world we're living in nowadays. It's like, oh God, I'm getting stressed out because I'm not doing my stress management program.
I need my stress management, and here's the thing, like, I think, again, we live in a world where number one, I don't believe people understand truly how bad they feel. That's number one. Number two is most people have no idea how stressed out they are because we live in that perpetual fight and flight mode that we have no idea that we're even in it. Does that make sense?
Years ago when I was a personal trainer and people would approach me, the who's who of executives, and I would lay out, we're gonna lay out a program and a dietary and a lifestyle philosophy for you, and it's going to take this amount of time and this amount of money, et cetera, et cetera. And I would say to them, and they'd say, well, that's going to be a lot of money. I said, well, there's a couple things. Number one, you're going to feel, if you think this is expensive, your new set of clothes that you're going to buy afterwards is going to be far more expensive than what I want. And you're going to be happy to spend that money. Number two is we're going to figure out we're going to get you fit to where you think you want to be. And then we're going to deal with the reasons that what you think you're going to get from being fit.
Right.
And I said, but there's a third thing. And you might be sitting, well, what's the value equation here? And I would say, if you could spend one day in my body, you would be absolutely convinced of why you need to do this. And I can only share that with you and invite you to that experience. And you have to operate on faith or the ambition that that's a possibility for you. And some people can't make that jump, and some people can.
Yeah.
So if you said something early in this, I think that was really important. You didn't know that you could feel good. And one of the things that I love these books and stuff, and it's like, good is the enemy to great. Like, what's it like to feel great? What's it like to feel super energized? What's it like to wake up in the morning and be energized and pop out of bed? What's it like to not want to go to bed because you're so jazzed up with life that it feels great? What's it like to be on a mission in life that helps other people? And if you're not in one of those states, I really feel challenge for people. And oftentimes I think that leads to poor choices because it's almost like a self-sabotage or a slow suicide that happens through negligence and apathy, and it's too hard or too different. So what sometimes this can be so overwhelming for someone that might be in a toxic household or might say, these are economic issues that I can't deal with or whatever. What's your answer to that type of person? I have my own ideas, but I like to hear what you say when you're kind of marching people through that journey from toxic lifestyle and terminating that, and then what they might experience.
First of all, what I do, we're not spending any more money. We're switching where you're spending your money. That's number one, because you're going to buy laundry soap, you're going to buy cleaning supplies, you're going to buy shampoo, you're going to buy conditioner, you're going to buy toothpaste, you're going to buy deodorant, you're going to buy, stuff to store your, food with. So all I'm doing is switching you out from making a bad choice with your money and making a good choice with your money. So all we're doing is swapping out and making a good choice. We're not asking you to spend any more money. That's number one, because you're going to buy the stuff. It's just a matter of, are we going to make it a good choice or a bad choice? I don't even like to use good and bad. That, I really don't. That really plays into the mind there. Secondly, when it comes to your overall health and wellness, you are going to pay for it one way or the other. Do you want to pay for it now, or do you want to pay for it later? That's honestly, that's the answer. And you need to take a guttural look and decide, because here's the thing. What do you want 80 to look like for you? What do you want that to be? You might be doing all the wrong things today, and you might be feeling halfway decent according to what you believe to be halfway decent. But what is 80 going to look like for you? I don't want to live to be 100 years old and be incapacitated and not have an active full life. I want 80 to be medicine free. I want it to be involved with my family and have full faculties in my head. But if I don't make the right choices today, that's not going to be my 80.
It's not an option.
What do I want it to look like? And so I challenge you to do that. Maybe it's 70. What is that going to look like for you? What are you choosing to do right now, today, that's going to help you get to that vision of what that 80 is going to look like?
So what are some other areas that you see that people struggle with as far as creating a toxin-free environment? Or aren't aware of?
It's emotional. We talked a little bit about external. We talked about stress. Energy is another one. But let's talk about internal. And here as women, I can't speak for a man. I've never been in a man's body, but for us women, we've got that committee that just goes to town inside our head. We're doing the comparison game. We're telling and feeding ourselves stories. And what I want to tell you is that your subconscious has no idea what is real and what is not real. It has no idea. It cannot differentiate between the two. So what you're feeding yourself by your thoughts that you are having inside your head, that is dictating and creating the reality that's happening outside here in the real world. It absolutely is. And so that's kind of the piece I believe that's missing with so many people, is that we have no idea. When I say to people, manifest it. Well, what do you mean? Create it. You tell yourself, you speak it as though it were already in existence. And there's so many people that look at you like you're absolutely crazy. Have you seen that?
I don't hang around with those people.
High five.
Yeah, no, seriously, I grew up in a rural environment, as many people know that listen to this podcast, and it had its own benefits and its own liabilities at the time. And that was before the internet. And there were, I would say, accepted truths, and I put that in quotations, of that lifestyle or that society or that expectation for life.
Right.
Which if you went against that, you met with resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I used to tell people when I was in my bodybuilding career, like I would be training in my barn at 15 years old, 50 miles away from my nearest gym. And I created my own, and I was there, and I would tell people that I was going to live in Venice Beach, California. I was going to compete in the Mr. Universe, and I was going to have a supplement company that sold products, nutrition products, and helped people all around the world. And my parents were relatively supportive, like, why are you doing this? And I said, and I used to give this speech every single week. And here it is. I'm living in Venice Beach, California. I competed in the Mr. Universe contest. And I have a nutritional company that sells nutritional products around the world and interviews people like you who have broken out the paradigms, out of the social structure you're in. So the key is to remember for our listeners, and I think you would agree with this, is to recognize, is to always ask the question, what paradigms am I operating in this moment?
Absolutely.
So what are some other things that come up in people's houses that you see or whatever that you would terminate as the Toxin Terminator? What are some other areas that you go after these days?
So let's talk about some easy things that are easy to do. I want to talk about two things, maybe three or four. Let's see what time we have. Microwaves. Stop. Just stop. Stop using the microwave. You know,
Beautiful.
There's other better options. Stop with the microwave. Store your food in glass or stainless steel. Get rid of the plastic, because let's think about it. If you're cooking a meal, you've prepared a meal, and now you want to store the food, you're putting hot food into plastic, which is going to leach the phthalates out of there, the BPAs, and now you're going to ingest it when you warm it back up. And most people are going to grab what it's stored in, and that's where you're heating it up in, right? Whether it's a toaster,
and then they microwave it.
Oh, anyways, so stop with that. Change that stuff out, what you're storing your food in. Third, let's talk about EMFs, electronic magnetic frequencies. I get it. We live in this, Wi-Fi world. I happen to be direct wired. That's what I do. Even the earbuds that you have in, there's protections that you can put on those earbuds so that they're not getting those EMFs into you, so you don't get, issues with your carotid arteries and getting tumors, going on here. Here's the thing, keep your Wi-Fi router away from where you are physically. The farther away from it you are, the better off you are. Turn off all Wi-Fis at the end of the day. You can turn them all off. And secondly, no electronics in the bedroom, period, end of story. No TV, no cell phones, no laptops, no computers. None of that should be inside the bedroom when we're trying to sleep.
Beautifully said. And smart meters is another one. You can call your power company and get them disconnected. You will pay a little bit more for your rates. I'm not a big advocate of smart meters. There's also a variety of EMF mitigation devices. You can go and get an expert to or get an EMF detector and go around your house, and you'll be shocked. You'll go around to open power plugs, and sometimes you have what's called dirty energy coming out of them. EMFs is another one. Using blue light blockers at night is another thing. They're also, once you get on this trend, it sounds a little kooky at first.
Oh, but it goes.
But when you start experiencing the benefits, then all of a sudden it's like, well, hey, this is actually working.
Yeah. And some people are more sensitive to different,
There's a variance. There's a variance based on genetics and epigenetics to what you're sensitive to and what you're tolerant to.
Right. Do you have the what is the MTHFR gene inside your body, so you're not being able to get rid of toxins now listen, 52% I think is the number now, have that gene, the MTHFR gene, so there's a lot of stuff out there that play a role in what's going on. Now let's talk about the other side of the balance. Okay, we're talking about toxins over here. There's another part of the scale, and that's called detox, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just spend a little bit of time talking about detox, because I can't tell you about how to remove toxins without also talking to you about how to support the body's natural ability. I'm not talking about cleanses and supplements here.
Yep.
I just want to talk to you about things that you can do daily to help your body get rid of the toxins.
Let's do it.
Does that sound
good?
Go
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, drink your water. We've got to be drinking water, clean water, clean water, clean water. Half your body weight at least in ounces of water each and every day. And if you can get more in, take more in but the ultimate goal is at least half your body weight in ounces. Water flushes those kidneys and really helps us to keep things moving inside of our body. Okay.
Yep. What else?
Number one. Number two, sweat. Sweat, sweat, sweat. I don't care how you do it, but get out and sweat. Move. Wade's probably got all kinds of fitness routines and things that you can do to sweat. Get out and move. If you're not out moving and sweating, that you need to do that anyway. But you can take a warm bath. Half a cup of Epsom salts, half a cup of baking soda. You combine those two together and you will be sweating, I promise you. Soak for at least 20 minutes and then jump in the shower and rinse yourself off. So, get a good sweat on. Infrared saunas. We have one inside our home.
They're awesome.
I sit in it.
We got an EMF one with the big red lights that just are awesome. You go in there and it's just fantastic.
Oh, red light therapy is amazing. So, that's good to have it inside the sauna, but it's not doing near what you can do. You can buy these panels. I have a panel that I sit in front of, and amazing for the skin. Amazing.
We have a red light actually that we have in our living room, and we turn that on in the evenings.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. My girlfriend here in Scottsdale has an infrared bed, so I can go lay, and the whole body is treated with the red light therapy. It's amazing, therapy for the body. Okay, so we talk about sweat, we talk about drinking water. Let's get the lymphatic system moving. The lymphatic system is like the sewer system of the body, right? Mm-hmm, it's what's going to flush everything out of the body.
It's 3.5 times the blood system.
Yeah. What can we do to move it? It has to be manually moved. So we can do things like rebounding, get yourself a little trampoline, get on there.
So if you're looking at right here in my office.
Bingo. Yes.
I have a mini trampoline. So
amazing for the lymphatic system. Dry brushing. Ladies, Get yourself a dry brush, put it in the shower, and just give yourself a good dry brush every time before you get in the shower. That will help move that lymphatic system. Not only that, but ladies, cellulite. So dry brushing helps minimize the what do I want?
Cellulite.
Because of what it's doing to the skin. So it helps.
Yeah. Cellulite is metabolically inactive fat cells that have lost blood flow to them. And so they're not able to detox. And then they start to dehydrate and take on that tone and twist it and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's something that and there's a variance in what people are susceptible to. So skin brushing is a great one. I skin brush myself every day.
I love it. Love it. Love it. I think that's fantastic. Okay. So we talked about sweating. We're talking about drinking lots of fluid. We're talking about the lymphatic system. Oh, another thing that you can do for your lymphatic system is hot and cold, hot and cold. So in your shower, towards the end of your shower, start with 30 seconds. 30 seconds as cold as you can stand it, and then 30 seconds as hot as you can stand it. And do that back and forth 3, 4, 5 times. End with cold. It's going to boost your immune system as well. So many good things coming out of the hot and cold. We're in Arizona, and after my infrared sauna, I will go jump in my pool unheated, which is about 50 degrees. And I mean, swim and do, some laps in there. So that hot, cold therapy is amazing for the body.
Any other quick tips, or maybe you can talk about what the book's about, what it's for, how people can find it, all that sort of stuff. I'd love people to tell me about the book.
Absolutely. So in the book, I'm talking to you kind of a little bit about the state of the nation, where we are with our overall health and wellness. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you so that you understand why it's even important to look at the toxins, in our life. Then I'm going to get into the 5 pillars of living a toxin-free lifestyle. And I kind of give you, I really run into air, water, food, absorption and mental, the toxins that we want to avoid. So I'm really getting into a deeper dive inside that. And I end with stories. I have had the opportunity to interview some really incredible women and they have powerful, powerful stories of exactly how removing toxins have impacted their life. I've got a mom who at the age of 19, 20 years old was told that she would never have children again. She suffered from Meniere's disease. She was going to be on medication for the rest of her life. And she now has 4 children. And by removing the toxins from her home, number one, water was a big one. Filtering out her water inside of her home reduced 80% of her symptoms, 80%. It was a big one for her. So she shares her story. There's a vaccine injured gal who talks about, what she went through. There's another one about EMF. Her story is very significant with EMF. And so we share the stories because I believe stories is what connects us. And we need to hear it so that we can say, oh my gosh, me too. I can relate. And so I give you 6 different stories at the end of the book where they each have a little bit of a different journey than what mine was. And I share my story, my full story in there. I really like to connect people.
Beautiful. Where can people find out more about you, Aimee? You've got a website, you got consultations, you do all sorts of wonderful things. So let us know where we can reach you.
Lots of things going on in my world today. So go to the website. Honestly, you can connect with everything there. You can purchase the book at the website and it's just AimeeCarlson.com, and that's AIMEECARLSON.com. You can listen to the podcast through there. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've created a brand new Facebook group, Transforming Women's Health. We bring in once a month an event. Next month is Happy Healthy Holidays. We've got experts coming in to teach you all about how to get through the holidays. Financially, what we're eating wise, stress wise, we're just giving you all the tips to have a happy, healthy holiday. I've got a brand new Alexa skill set. So if you have a smart speaker or smartphone, I give you lots of ditch and switch ideas.
Beautiful.
On there.
Beautiful. So make sure you check out Aimee's website. And of course, she does do free consultations, and she has an assessment over there that you can check out to kind of see how you can think dirty and get away from greenwashing so that you can detoxify your life. Aimee, thank you for joining us today on the Awesome Health Podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in here in the middle of your move and all that sort of stuff. That was very generous of you. And I hope that some of our people, for example, just that app alone, I think is just going to be an extraordinary, the Think Dirty app, I think is really great. Show notes are all in here, folks. It's the Toxin Terminator, Aimee Carlson on the Awesome Health Podcast. Thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And have yourself a biologically optimized day from Bioptimizers. Take care.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip. Turn cultured foods into superfoods. Raw fermented foods like sauerkraut and low sugar, live yogurt can be good for you, but rarely have enough of the right probiotic strains for therapeutic benefit. So here's a way that you can turn them into superfoods. What I do is I get some raw sauerkraut or a healthy yogurt. Ideally, it's grass-fed or coconut-based, and you can empty 3 caps of P3OM into a container and mix it up thoroughly. Leave it at room temperature for a couple of hours before putting it back into the fridge. And what's going to happen is these probiotic levels will be multiplied. In fact, it doubles every 20 minutes. And then what you're going to get is you're going to have a food with strong proteolytic activity. To learn more about P3OM and why its patented strains make it the strongest probiotic available, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.